Okay, welcome everyone. Today we are going to be covering SharePoint Online. So basically, what is SharePoint? Well, SharePoint is a powerful web-based collaboration platform that was developed by Microsoft that facilitates document management, storage, and sharing with organizations. So basically, it enables teams to create websites, manage content, and collaborate effectively. It is widely used for like internet sites, project management, document repositories, and workflow automation, and it makes it very useful and essential for businesses of all sizes. Hence, this is the reason why you're probably taking this class because you're trying to learn how your organization operate. Now, there's a big difference between the two because you have SharePoint Online and then you also have SharePoint on-premises. So both of those offer a distinct advantage based on your organization needs. SharePoint Online, which is the one we're talking about, is a cloud-based solution that provides accessibility from anywhere. So basically, you just get online as soon as you have access. It automatically updates itself, and it's a subscription-based policy from Microsoft 365 category. So how do you check to see if you have it? Well, if you log on to Microsoft365.com, you can come up here to where you see the app launcher, and you can click it. And normally, if you have SharePoint inside of your package, you will see it here. So for example, inside of my package, I have SharePoint and all these additional apps that comes with your subscription, they're part of your package. You can also go to more apps if you don't see it right here and search around to see if it's included inside of your package. You can also come over here to where it says install and more. And you can also look on the explore your apps as well to see if it also is in your bundle. Sometimes it might be hidden if you haven't used it as yet. So that's one of the good ways that you can actually find it. Now, when it comes to the on-prem, most organizations they maintain control over their environment. So if it was built out where SharePoint back in the days like 2019 versions, you'll install this like on a server blade somewhere. And then it's basically there for like data sovereignty, right? Which is basically crucial for like compliance and security in a nutshell, right? So it really depends on the organization. Most folks have started migrating to the cloud base because now you don't have to worry about installing it, updating it, and keeping it patched and stuff. Microsoft does all that for you. All you have to do is just manage it and keep going. So what are some of the features that you could get out of SharePoint? Well, it offers a variety of key features, to be honest. Collaboration and productivity within the organization is one that we talked about. But when you talk about document management, the capabilities are far, far advanced. And it's easy for storage and organization. But one of the big things I like to talk about is version control. So this is the ability where you can work on files and then have a versioning that is applied to it. So for example, let's say user 1 started a document in Excel. The version may be like version 1.0, and the next person that comes along and work on it, it'll be version 1.1. So that means each time the document is being worked on, there's a version that's been attached to it. So let's say something happened and it crashed, you have the ability to roll back to maybe the previous versions that was worked on by user 1. So those are some of the cool features I like about it. When it comes to collaboration, it includes like share calendars, task lists, and discussion boards, which enables teams to work together seamlessly in real time. And I love the collaboration piece because if I'm working on a Word document, I can open up and share it with my team, and they can also see where I'm working, especially when it comes to like PowerPoint slides and so forth. If you have to update your slides for like a meeting and every department needs to update their slides, one of the cool things is that you just go to your slide and update it while someone else is working on their slide, and it makes things seamlessly and efficient. Now, one of the cool things though with the new version of SharePoint is that you have workflows that helps automate repetitive tasks, right? So for example, if you have a help desk, for example, and you have a ticketing system attached to it, you can manipulate the workflow and create automated tasks that send the users updates every time something happens to the ticket, or each time it moves, or if it's updated along the way. So those are some of the great features that comes along with the new version of SharePoint. And additionally, there's some good security features that are built in, so such as role-based access control and compliance tools. These basically ensure that sensitive data is protected, because you always want to protect your data. And also, it have now a good, powerful search functionality that also allow users to quickly find relevant documents and information across the platform. Now, that's enough of me jibber jabbering about what to expect about SharePoint. So once you get into 365 and you find out that you have access to SharePoint, you will come to a page something like this. And this is where we are going to begin now our class. So I just talked about the introduction to SharePoint, the overview, key features, and then the difference between the online and on-premises. So the next step we're going to go into is creating a site. So as you can see, if you are on this platform like me, when you went to here and you open up your SharePoint and go right here, I will take you to this site. This is how I have here. It's the same thing. Okay, so once you're back on here, to create a site is really easy. You just go to the top left corner and you're just going to click on create site. Now you have the option to create a communication site or a team site. The difference between the two is just the layout and the foundation. And you will see basically on whichever you choose, the layout will just be a little bit different, right? So we're going to go ahead and create a team site. Here you will see different templates from Microsoft. Also, if you were building this from inside of your organization, you may have templates that's already built out and saved here from someone else that was managing your portal. Now, since we don't have anything and I'm building this from scratch just to show you, we're just going to go ahead and select something from Microsoft. So if we go down, we can see something here. So I want to choose the training course. So we're just going to see how the layout is. So before you choose the site, you can look at this and it will show you how you can manipulate and design this page before you go for, well, this site before you go forward. So you get a feel and an understanding of what it's going to look like before you say use template. If you're comfortable with it, just move forward and say use template. Give your site a name. This is where you're going to name it now. So since we said this was a training course, I'm going to call this SharePoint Training. And note that because your organization has its own built-in site address, which is right here, this will always be the same for all of your sites. And then anything that you create after it will actually be the site name. So your site name will be created right after this. This is your unique site address. And together, these will combine to give you your URL for your organization site. You can give it a description here. Doesn't really matter, but this is just to tell folks about SharePoint. Right? I like to say whenever you're creating your site name, you can go back and delete this if you choose to. Right? But your site name, you should start off giving it something that does not have a space in it, because later on to come when you're working with workflows, if you have space in it, sometimes it can trigger errors, right? So if you want to design a page, I recommend just give it something that does not have a space, and then later on you can go back and fix this. So since I'm doing this from scratch and this was my training, I was just going to do SharePoint, and you can do a dash or underscore if you choose to, whichever works for you. Right? And then I'm going to do training. Just like that. Now, the group email address will be the alias. So once it's created like this, this is basically what will populate for you. Just go ahead and click next. Now, when we're building this out, I want you to click on private settings, because you don't want to publish your site yet if you are not complete with it. And everyone can have access to this inside of your organization. So if you click private and you keep it here, you can build out your site the way you want it, and later on you can go ahead and add members, or you can open it up from private back to public and change it so everyone else will be able to see it. Right now, we're not going to add any members. So I'm just waiting for the template to be applied. And then I'm just going to go ahead and click finish. Now, my site has been created. This is your template. And then from here, as you can see, following the template that we had earlier, this is what it looks like. Now from here, you can go ahead and customize in real time your site. Okay, so now that we understand the creating the site page, well, not the site page, creating a site, it's time for us to understand creating a page. So you got to remember at your links when you look up here, right? Your site is going to be, how I told you before, it's going to go all the way to sites. And then whatever you create after here will be your site, right? Now, any page that you create after this will take the entire site and then your site name and then the page after this. So for example, let's go ahead and create new, and we're going to go to page. So if you're on your content, you can do it multiple ways. You can come in here, go to page. You can also click the gear icon, and you can do add a page. Whichever you choose to is fine. So let's go, and we're going to do like a training page and or a visual page. Let's do something like this. So doesn't really matter. And then from here, let's going to go ahead and create a page. So now that we have created the page, as you can see, the page is still in draft mode, whatever, for now. But then if you look at the side going down, you have different templates of how you can do your layout. So you can put stuff on here, right? This is just a different layout. You can design it as much as how you feel for your layout while you're doing it. So this is normally where you do like a title, right? So let's call this training department, and this is your header. You can change this as well if you choose to. So up here under image and title, you can always go here and find a image and title, and you can change it. Also, you can add different pictures from your toolbox if it's built in, and these are just default images that you can add. So wherever you're working, if you click inside, if you wanted to change these, for example, right here, you just go to browse images and you can change these. So under recent, it will show you anything that was already inside of your SharePoint repository, excuse me. And then you can upload from OneDrive, you can do a web search, you can go to stock images. If anything's inside of your stock images, for example, you can choose it here. So I'll just choose this one and we'll replace that image. Let's say this guy works in the library. I wanted to change his images again, stock images. Maybe I just wanted to put the ballerinas here dancing, and then you'll see them show up. So there's multiple ways that you can change these. I like to also make sure that my images are the same size. So there's a website called resizer.com that you can use to focus on your images, because as you can see, the layout will adjust accordingly to the images. So that's something you want to pay attention to. Okay, so that's basically how you go around and manipulating your images. Now inside of a section, once you see here, you can add a section, and you want to look over here, you have different columns. So if I wanted to add a 3-column, this is how I would add it, similar to how it was down here. And then inside of the column, now I can add a new web part. Inside of the web part, which is basically just applications, you can choose to add different text, media, or content, right? So it's really easy to navigate and manipulate. So each section, once you point to it, it will allow you to add something in it. So let's go ahead and just do this for a demo. And this one, I wanted to add a button. This button now is added here. If you take a look onto the cursor at the top, I can move it by dragging it around if I choose to. So that means I can hold this button and move the button around if I choose to, bring it over here. I can move it around as such. All right. So now this right here will be where we edit the properties. If you take a look to the right hand side, it will change when I click here. Now it will tell me what do I want to call this button. So let's call it, click here, and then I can give this an address to go to like Google. So each time someone click this button, it will take me to Google. So if I set this up correctly, and once this is published, right here, once this is published, so let's go ahead and do a test and publish it, and you'll see for yourself that now we're going to activate this button. And this button that we just created, as you can see, it points to Google. So if I go ahead and click this just for a test, it should take me to Google. So that's basically how you can create a button. So let's go back and edit this page again, and we're going to navigate a few things some more. So once you have a general design or outline of how you want to fix your page up, you have the ability to basically design and create and add content as much as you want. So let's go ahead and go into what we call web parts. For example, up here in this section, I wanted to add a vertical section. On the right, I'm going to put some lists, and then over here, let's say I wanted to select something. So I wanted to go ahead and maybe add a YouTube video. So inside of the video, I can add a video here and embed that YouTube video in here. So once I click add, you can come over here and then find the YouTube link or embed it with the YouTube code. So for example, let's go to YouTube. And this is our YouTube page, right? So let's say I found one of my videos, which was basically, let's use this one for example, talking about Active Directory. And if I went to the link of this video, and I copied it, and I wanted to embed it here, paste the link inside of here, and this is from my YouTube, and then there you go, it will bring over the link for my YouTube channel. So then I can go ahead and republish this as well, since it's pulling from the web. So now whenever someone comes to my website or this page itself that I just created, you can see that they can watch it here, or they can play it directly inside of. All right, welcome back to today's series. There you go. So I'll turn the volume off, but just to play it. So you can see that they can still watch this video. And these are videos that I have on my channel. Right? So they can watch this content directly inside of your SharePoint page. Pretty cool feature, right? So that's embedding a video. Now let's go back to edit, and we're going to cover this section. And like say in this section, let's go ahead and add, we're going to do some links. So link right here, similar. Let's say I wanted to give this a link to something else on the outside. We're going to click edit properties, and we're going to call this link title, and let's call this news. And we're going to say best news update. And right here now you can give it an alternate text as well if you choose to. So you copy, paste this here if you choose to. Right? And then if you want to paste a link to a page or something, here we'll need to get page. So let's go to something like CNN. Let's go to CNN.com and let's copy CNN. So we're going to copy and paste CNN right here as the link. It's going to broadcast the preview right there, breaking news, latest, whatever. And then we'll republish this. So while CNN is happening, you will see breaking news, latest from CNN, and we can do this along the list all the way down here, right? So if you choose to add multiple links right here, we can do the same thing. We could do another link this way, and we can do, let's go, I don't know, what's another news site that we can use? BBC. So we can do BBC News. I didn't know BBC was still out there. We can do BBC the same way, right? And you can broadcast news just the same way if you republish share. So you can see BBC News happening on the right. I have my video here on the content, how I want to design this. Then you could keep scrolling down. So another thing, let's work on this page. So we covered the video, we covered links. So let's go to one good thing that we can do. We're already in here. And we can add different web parts. So this is my layout that I was working with. Now in this section, let's say I wanted to do a 2-column section above here. And over here, I would like to do a call to action. So a call to action basically is something similar where you can add your text over here. You can put an image behind it, and then each time you click it, it will be like a button with a photo that allows you to call to action something. So for example, let's change the image, and we're going to go to stock image, and let's say I want this to be these cats. I'm going to insert these cats right here. We'll show you the background of what these cats are called. And then the button label, we're going to call it purple for these cats right there. So the buttons won't become active until you have a link inside of it. So let's go and find a good website. And I don't know, maybe these kind of cats, that's fine. We'll put the link right here. Make it active. And then now you can see the link is active, the call to action. So in here, we can put, right, and there you go. So if you also go back and republish this and take a look at it, now you'll see that I have my cats here. It goes to purple, and when I click purple, it will take me to Spruce Pets, right? That's a call to action where it's just a link, shows you like a visualized photo behind it, and it just makes different customization on your site. So that's the call to action. There are more buttons and more frequently used content that we can add. So let's talk about quick links. Quick links I like because you can add multiple links here. So for example, if you wanted to go to a different site or from a link, we can add, like, for example, maybe ChatGPT if it's something that you use in the organization. And right there, we'll just add a quick link to ChatGPT. Then you could go ahead and add another link from a link, maybe do like google.com, add a link there, right there. And then you can customize these as much as you want. You can change the name of this and just call it just call it common links right there. So these are just basic links that you use every day, right? That's the way you would add them on your page, and all you have to do is republish this again, and basically they're usable. So we talked about that. We talked about adding sections and columns. There are also other things you can add to your page as well. You can go down, you can do the call to action I showed you, links we went over, and then buttons. So buttons are similar to all of these. Same functionality. You just click your button, edit the properties, and you can add a button right there. You can still scroll down and you can add multiple stuff. You can do a divider. So a divider will works well right here, for example. Let's say you wanted to divide the page, how it looks. So that's what a divider will look like. And that's just for beautification purposes. When you start designing and you want it to look pretty, you can add dividers in between the different sections. So that's where a divider will come into play. Under here as well, you have more. You can do a spacer if the spacing is too close. So this is where you can also use a spacer in between the content if you choose to. Let's go down here and play with this one a little bit more. You have text if you wanted to add a text here as well. Underneath we can do this and say right there. You can change it, give it a different size and so forth as well. And you will see your text will come up. And then from here, if you look at your text and media, basically all of these are similar. Now going down to document lists and libraries, we're going to talk about these here shortly. So I'll walk you through how these will work. When you're adding something, it needs to already be created. So before we try to add something, we have to create these. Okay. So what we'll need to do, let's go ahead and republish our site, bring it live, and just like remember, this is private, so no one can see this yet until you give access to everyone. So now we have our site up and running. This is the best training site ever. It's looking amazing, right? And we want to add some more contents, right? So what we can do up here, you can go to new, and you can do copy the contents of this page to something else, right? Or if you come over to the top here, you can add an app if you wanted to add additional applications. So I'm going to show you the app piece first right here. So let's go ahead, and it's going to take us into the back end. So if there are applications that your organization allow you to add, you will see them all listed here. These ones are from the SharePoint Online store. So for example, if you have access to these, they will show up and you can add these applications inside, right? But for the purpose of these, you can also visit the SharePoint store and you will see additional apps if they're available to you. But we're going to go to Classic Experience, and it's going to take us back into the classic version of adding apps, where you'll see the old school version of your apps, which these are right here. And this is where now you can add different applications and then put them on side of your page. So for example, we're going to create a few of these. First one we're going to create is a document library. So I'm going to go ahead and create a document library, and we're going to call this documents. And maybe just call this SP documents, just so we can define that's the one we're working with, and we're going to click create. Now once you create this documents, as you can see, it's going to take you exactly to the location where all of your contents are stored. The one we just created is right here, SP documents. And if you go ahead and take a look at this and go to settings, it will take you into the backend where you can see the URL of this document. Now, when you create a document, you have the option to change the name, the description, or the way it's navigated. So let's say you didn't want a name and you wanted to change this. This is where you would come, general settings, and you will change the name of it. If you're happy, you can click yes, save. For this, I'm just going to click cancel and take me back. And then you can see all of the stuff that's back here. But for the documents itself, there's not much that we need to do. So we're just going to go ahead and go back to my apps over here. And let's go back to SP training, which is here. Now, the pages that we created earlier, if I went under pages, as you can see, this page was just created earlier. So training department is where we want to go back to. And let's say now I wanted to add that document library that we just created. So you want to go to your page and you will click edit, sorry. And let's say I want to put that document library here. So you go here, and then now you're going to come all the way down to your document library. And then you will find SP documents, which is the one we just created. And then that's it. You'll put it here. And your document library is now attached to your page. So whenever something is created here, it will show up inside of your document. So let's go ahead and test this. If we open up this link by itself and copy it, it should take us into our document. Now let's go ahead and just do a new folder, and we're going to give it a nice color, call it green, and we're going to call it dog food. And let's create that. So now I created a new folder for dog food. So this is where we're going to add dog food for our pets. When you go back to our training site, and if you republish this, remember this was empty. So now that this is published, if you go into your documents, now you should see dog food start populated. And it shows up right there that a few seconds ago it was created. Vice versa, if I go inside of dog food and I wanted to add something like a new Word document, you can go in, give it something, and you can save it or share it however you choose to. Doesn't really matter. But let's go back over here and let's refresh our page. You can see the new document is now living inside of here. And if we went back to our document library earlier where we had it in the raw field, you can still go in here and you'll see also that document. So it is pretty much, like I said, live, because now this document you can share with someone and they can start working on it as well. And that's where the collaboration piece in real time happens. So that's basically how you would add a web part for a document. Now, similar to where we went earlier and we had to add an app, let's go ahead and add another app. And we're going to go all the way back to here, and we want to add something that is very common, a lot of folks like to use, and it's called a calendar. So let's add this calendar, and we're going to give this calendar now Team Calendar. I'm going to call it Team Cal. We're going to create this right here. Once this calendar is also created, it will show up as well, like I said earlier. And if you notice the icons on the left, they changed based on whatever it is. So for example, events, site pages are a little bit different from your team calendar. Okay, so now going back to our page, we're going to be working on our page again. And let's edit our page. And this time we want to add our calendar right below this. So if you scroll down and you're looking for your calendar, you can do right here, group calendar. And there used to be another calendar app. I think they took it out, but we'll go with this one, group calendar. Once it populates, you can now select a group calendar. So for example, this was a group calendar that was already created. So if you went to edit over here on the calendar, edit properties, you can see all the calendars that were already created, and you can just choose one and add it over here. So this is for the group calendar piece as well. Okay, so now we can go ahead and navigate to what we were working for. So as for the calendar, I showed you one way that you can create it. So now with the new SharePoint, calendar kind of works under what's called events. So let's go ahead and create events right here. And as you can see, events is created. So under here, events on the site source, you can select there how you want it to categorize, basically the layout, if you want it to be compact, from strip like that. And it can show up to 20 events at a time. You can customize this as much. So let's go ahead and republish this. And then you can see things that are happening in real time once you get here, because after the events is created, it's basically a calendar. So if you go add a new event, it's going to take you to the back end where you can create a new event. So let's say and this is going to happen, let's call it, say, today, sometimes all day, and then just call it lookout. And we're going to go ahead and click save. So once this is successfully saved, you can see all the events that happens there. We'll show you, this is what it looks like. If we go back to our pages and we look at this, you will see that that event now was added October 13th, which is today, and it's added to the page. One good thing about this, though, is that this is actually linked to the back end of a calendar, right? So if you take a look at site contents where we went back and we refresh this, you should see events, and you can see it's one item right here. If we click on events, you're going to see drone flying near, which is the one that I just created. So now this event is actually a calendar that you can use. I like to say that you can modify this calendar. If you're like me, you can.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Sorry, Siri, not you. Oh, that's Alexa. You can attach this calendar to Outlook, which is one of the great things. You can change the settings. So if you click on list settings here, it will take you into the back end where you can rename the calendar like I showed you before. If you wanted to change this from events to SharePoint events, you can say, let's change it to there. And then you can come down and see additional stuff. If you wanted to send this calendar to someone else, then you can also copy the link here. And we can go back over here and open this link by itself. And you will see that this now SharePoint events are up here and this calendar. Let's go ahead on the 15th and we're going to add something on this day. So let's say 11 o'clock. We want to add something on 11 o'clock. So let's just work on adding something. So we're going to call this save that. And now you can see if we went back to now to our events, I'm going to refresh this. On the 13th, you still see everything that's happening just because of the layout that is as well. If we go back to our pages and look at our pages, now you can see on the 13th, there's a drone flying near by some guy, and then the police got him on the 15th. Simple. So now you can actually have this calendar being pushed to the back end, from the back end of all the list of events that's happening, right? And the more you populate, this will just keep publishing across. So folks, when they get actually to the your page, they can actually see things that are happening, and it's a good way for you to like keep the team updated. If you have someone working on the calendar per se, all they have to do is just keep publishing the events and it will show up for you. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is image library. So basically you can add multiple images or a single image. So you can add a image here, which is just a random image. Let's get this guy here to your page, which I think I showed you guys before. Now, if you wanted to add multiple images, you can do an image gallery, and then you can change the layout, make it dynamic, right? So it can display from the document library, or you can select the images. Right here, we can add, we'll go to stock, and let's go to teamwork, and let's select a few folks working together, making cookies, developing stuff, and celebrating. Insert 7. Now, if you have events and things that's happening that you want maybe to display to your team, This is a great way for you to show it off. And here you can change the layout, so you can do a brick where it shows up like this, or you can do a carousel, which I sometimes like because then it shows things that are happening, and you can change the seconds between the display if you want to do an automatic cycle. So let's say I want this every 2 seconds to change. That would be a good way for you to display. So 2 seconds is probably too fast, maybe 3. But it's a good way to showcase things that are happening in the organization. Catch the attention of folks when they visit your site, and you know, show off your brand, show off your team, show off things that are happening in the organization. Go ahead and republish, and you can see, you know, you get to your site and like, oh man, this is a training department. These guys are working together, showing, you know, making some cookie dough and blueprints and so forth. So that covers basically images for now. Alright, so we are now going to navigate over to lists. So similar as always, you can go back to add an app, and we are going to create a list from our apps. So let's go back to classic experience, and we are going to create a list. So we can do custom lists, or you can do custom in the data sheet view, issue tracking. I'm going to go ahead and do issue tracking, and I'm going to create this. I'm going to call this help desk and click create. And then this is my help desk list. So now let's go back over to my pages, and on this page that we created earlier, I want to bring this list up and put it somewhere. So there's nothing on the list as yet, right? So we can go back to, I need to close out some of these. So let's go back to the help desk list, and let's add something new to it. So let's give it and you know, the values stay the same, so I'm adding the issue there. And then let's add another one. Alright, so we got 3 issues that are happening in our help desk. Somebody drank all the milk, and then they broke the crayon and it spilled on my iPod. And that is a significant problem inside of our help desk. So we want to go back to our training, and we need to add this list. So maybe the boss wants to see it somewhere. So let's go ahead and edit this page, and let's bring this list to life, and we're going to add it here. So let's scroll all the way down, and we're going to go to lists right there. So now you need to find this list. So we're going to go edit, and we're going to find help desk. You can change the view to all issues, my issues, or if you added any different view, you will change it there. Then from here you can do dynamic filtering, or if not, just click apply, and it will show all the issues from the help desk that is happening. One good way that you can bring, like I said, everything to your page, so it's a one-stop shop, so that you can see everything that is happening. And if I created something new here, like a new item, and let's call this value iced tea, you will see that in real time this list should be updated also with iced tea. And then also, no matter where you do your updates, iced tea will show up as well. So that's how you'll create a list, and that's basically how you'll add this list into your SharePoint page. So the next step we want to talk about is building processes with Power Automate or Flow using PowerApps. So one of the good features or one of the good apps that are out there that you can use for this is called Power Automate. And it should be also a part of your package. If not, then you'll have to work on getting it, like I said before, to make sure you have this subscription. So inside of your list, you can have a help desk functionality going. But let's say you want this to be some type of automation going, right? You can go up here and you can click on automate right here. Or you can do Power Apps and also create an app to facilitate this. First thing we want to do is just go to automate. So let's go ahead and click on Power Automate. And we're going to create a flow. So inside of this list, you could basically create a flow, which is basically an automated task that's going to help SharePoint to interact with other applications. So for example, right here, you can say send a customized email when a new item is added to this list. One of the good features you could do is select this right here and work it. So if you're working at the help desk, for example, whenever something is added to that list that we just did before, it's going to send a customized email right here that something has been added to this list. So for example, the flow will connect from SharePoint into my email, right? And then it will activate all the users in my profile and so forth. And then we can create the whole flow for it to work. So once you got everything connected, you will see that this flow is going to send a customized email when a SharePoint list item has been added. If you get an error saying something like it's not, the triggering is off on the first time, that's because within your 28-day run history, nothing has been generated. Okay, so let's go ahead and test this real quick. I have my email ready to be worked. And let's go back to let's go ahead and see all here. And let's go ahead and add a new item. So this item, we're going to call it grocery list. And remember we said that whenever a new item is added to this list, send an email. So basically, if you have a help desk running and you want an email to be generated to the help desk, just in case someone is not monitoring the portal, the help desk email, right, will get a new email each time somebody submits a ticket. So we're just going to go ahead and hit save right here. And then now we're looking for grocery list. So if I go to my email, which I'm waiting for it to populate, and I'll bring it down to show you. So this has been created. Now, if we went back to where we were earlier, on the Power Automate, on the flows right here. So if you refresh your flow, you will see now that I sent out an email, and 9 seconds ago, this was succeeded. So that means this flow is working properly and it was sent. And then inside of that email, you will see something as this. And you can customize this however you choose to. So now I just check my email. And I'm trying to open it up for you guys. And there you go. So in my email now you see it says, hi, a new item was added to this list called grocery list. So as you can see now this flow is working. And that's a perfect example of how you set up this flow. Hope that makes sense and is understandable. Now you have the ability to set up multiple different versions or different automate. You can create flows for almost everything. So that was just an example we did to just customize an email. But you can do send an email when a document is created. You can request approval, so that means like everyone must approve an item. This is a good feature as well. So if it has to go through processes or different step by step for approval from the document, that's a good way to also request approval through the whole process. You can also do request approval through Microsoft Teams when something is created and so forth, or you can elevate it from, manager approval and so forth. Many things you can do with flows, and you can see your flows and everything. Now, when it comes to Power Apps, you can create also an app right here. Build customized apps, right? And this is when it goes into the developer mode, where you can build out Power Apps to, customize different settings. And this is for more advanced features, so we're not really going to get too deep into this, but this is just how, if you knew how to do apps, that's where you would go to actually create an app. All right, let's move it on. So we're back onto our training department page, and one next thing I wanted to show you guys is Power BI, how we can include it on our page as well. So it's really simple. Once you start working with Power BI, and if you understand it, you can just go down to insert Power BI, and it will just bring up a place where you can add your report. And basically, you're just importing this into your page. So you just find a link for your Power BI, give it a name, how you want to display it, and you'll just save it here. I don't have any Power BI that was built out, so I can't add nothing here, but this is where it will show up. And you can just display whatever you have built. Power BI is also another phenomenal way of customizing and automating a lot of things for your dashboards and so forth. So if you do have those capabilities, or if you understand it, once you start building it out, this is how you can add it to your dashboard. So I'm going to delete this. Another cool thing I wanted to show you guys is the clock. So there is a nice cool feature that's added in where you can display world clocks. So let's say you wanted to do different zones, maybe New York. You can add New York as a location so you can see the time. You can do maybe, okay, keep prompting me. Maybe wanted to do California somewhere on the Pacific side. Maybe, okay, it keeps prompting me. Maybe Australia somewhere, if we can find it. Let's do Brisbane. So there you go. So 3 different time zones I just added. As you can see, you can have these published to your I need to refresh this real quick. Okay, so it took away my editions that I was working on, which is fine. We can go back and add these real quick. It was just triggering some errors because I didn't save something earlier. But I can go back to my world clocks and I can add these, right? And you can see 3 different locations now have been added. So on top of this, when you start your page, I think it looks really nice. You can see different time zones if you're working with, or if you have folks that work in these locations, this could be a great way for you to add it to your page. So I think our page came along well. You know, we have built out some stuff. We got our teamwork, news is on the right, a picture of the CEO right here, a few events is coming. We can get to the per site if we need to and common links. A cool video of this handsome fella right here giving introduction to Active Directory. Upcoming events from the team calendar, and some documents here, the places we want to go, and also this is our training lead right here, and then also our onboard journey for people can see how things are running here. This is the basics of basically getting your SharePoint page worked. Every organization is going to be a little bit different. However, once you sit down and design and figure out how you want to design it so that everyone can be on the same page, it will work for you. And if you follow these small tips and tricks that I just showed you, you will be successful in getting your page. So before we go, there's one thing that I would like to cover before our time is up, and that is going to be permissions. So when it comes to permissions, it is very easy to give permissions to the wrong people or give permissions to everybody. So one good thing you should look into once your page is up and running, up here at the top right, you want to go to settings, and we want to go to site permissions. Now under here you will have add members. You can add members. You also have site owners that give full control, and if you don't know what it is, just point to the little eye and it will show you exactly what they have. You also have members that have limited control and visitors that have no control. You can control, right, who has access to your page. You can change how it can be shared, and you can also manage it. And then also you have the advanced feature where you can go here and click advanced permissions. It's going to take you to the back end, where now you can create a group and add different folks into these groups. So like, for example, these groups right here, it's already built in for just members, and you can see who all has access to it. It's always a good way to define groups and then just add users to this group. So then you don't have to worry about adding individual users to certain groups. So you know visitors only can read. A perfect place to add everyone. And then you can increase their visibility or their reach on your page accordingly, moving up. So you can see if you're an owner, you have full control. Members can edit. So be selective about who you actually give to be an owner. And if you have members that just need to edit a page, not even a page, but maybe a document or a document library or add something, that might be the permissions you want to give. And then if you want everyone to access your site, you would give them visitors access. You can also grant permissions differently to everyone, or you can also break permissions as well. And then if you want to find out if a user has certain access, you can also go to check permissions and add or check their name right here, and it will show you what permissions they have. Good thing to know for the site, because if you don't select or fix your permissions properly, then you open up your page to be able to be configured by everyone, and they can destroy stuff. Last but not least, you have your recycle bin that's over here on the left hand side. It's a great place that you can see all stuff that were deleted. So if you needed to restore something, you can always go back here and try to restore whatever was there by just clicking the restore button. And if you want to delete everything forever, this is where you want to also click it. Not a good place for you to give access to everyone as well, because that might not be the place. That might not be a good place where everyone will have access as well. So I would keep this only to my administrators or your owners as well. And then finally, when you edit your page, everything that's always on the right is called your toolbox. So you'll have the option to change and add stuff from your template. And bonus, I just remembered that I didn't show you one cool thing. And this is called changing the look. You can change your theme to however you want to by going down this list and changing the colors. Once you check colors, you will see that these have been changed around. You can go into different feel, as you can see. And that's just basically changing the theme right there, dark yellow. So if you prefer dark mode and you want it to go in here, then this is basically how you would change it to go into dark mode. And there you go. So now your page has been successfully configured. Everything is now in dark mode, and you have everything you need to start your SharePoint training. Guys, I hope this was valuable for you. I promise to stay under 1 hour. It is 59 minutes and 52 seconds. Thank you so much for watching, and you guys have a great day.